All right, guys, we'll get going, and as people turn up, they will join in as we get going. So, welcome to the fourth webinar of our club development series. Today we're going to talk all about facilities and the different things involved in that. Just a bit of housekeeping to start with. We will be recording this, so it can be shared. We'll try to crop it so people's names and things aren't showing, but please aware it's not always possible completely. So, if anyone's got any problems with this, please let me know. During the session, please add any questions into the chat, and at the end of each section, we'll go through and answer these. And then during that period, feel free to unmute yourselves if you find it easier to ask questions that way. We'll be starting the session on facilities with Adam Parry, and at the end, we'll be bringing Kitlocker in, who are going to present a new opportunity that's available to clubs through a newly launched Nike Partner Clubs. So I'll hand over to Adam for the first section.
Cheers, Stacey. Thanks for that. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Adam Parry, so I lead on facility and investment at Bucks and Bucks FA. So today, Stacey sort of tasked me to have a quick sort of run through and overview of facilities. So we're going to look at small grants. So what small grants are available to you? Some of you may be aware of the Football Foundation and what grants there are, but if not, this will give you a good overview of what is available. We'll look then in depth at the Grass Pitch Maintenance Fund and what that is, and then we'll touch on large grants and the local football facilities plans and what they mean for you as clubs. And then we'll finish before we hand over to Kitlocker, just looking at maximising our current facilities and some top tips on how we can do that. So firstly, if you aren't aware of the Football Foundation, then the Football Foundation is a charity jointly funded by the FA, the Premier League and the UK government, and those funds are used to improve football and sports facilities throughout the country. They are 25 years old, so just had their 25-year anniversary and have invested over £1 billion in different projects since they were formed just after the summer of 2000. They did launch a new strategy in 2025 as well. So in that strategy, and that strategy links into the local football facility plans, which we'll talk about later on in the session as well. But essentially, that is aimed at growing and building stronger grassroots football throughout the country. So everything that we talk about today has the overarching aim to continue to support and improve facilities so that grassroots football can continue to improve throughout the country as well. So we look at the small grants that are available and the ones that we're going to go through. These are our sort of key small grants that are available. So we've got everything through from goalposts, from fencing, through to catering units. So there's a wide variety of small grants that you as clubs can access. You don't need your own facility for these. So if you're at a school, a college site, a local authority, you can also get the local authority to apply for goalposts. You can apply for goalposts that are stored at the local authority. You don't need your own site for all of these grants. For some of them you will, but we'll touch on them as we go through. So firstly, goalposts. So it's a maximum grant of £25,000 for no more than 75% of the total project cost. That is pretty standard grant for all Football Foundation small grants. So it's a maximum of 25,000 and 75%. That will be a running theme throughout the small grants. With the goalposts, they have to be from one of the Football Foundation's approved suppliers. So they're all shown on the goalposts link when I'll show you later how to get onto the Football Foundation website. They're all shown within the website, and you can click on each, and there's normally a form to fill in just to request a quote depending on which sized goalpost you want. You can order multiple different sizes of goalpost, or it could be a majority of one size. For example, I imagine quite a few of you will be interested in ordering 3v3 goalposts when they're eligible to clubs in May. So clubs will be eligible to apply for the Football Foundation's grant for 3v3 goalposts from May. So you'll be able to do that online in the normal way. If some of you have applied for goalposts before, you know how to do that. And you will need 2 like-for-like quotes, and they're your max grant values. So all of the approved suppliers will be able to give you quotes within those grant values, but they're per set of goalposts. So as you can see, it's maximum of £400 for a set of 3v3. But if you wanted to order 10 sets and your cost is 4,000 and you have that 25% funding available, then that's absolutely fine. You can do so because it's that max of £25,000. But you can't get a set of goalposts that's more than that £400 per one set of goalposts there. What happens with the goalpost grant is that you will pay the deposit up front, that 25%, to the supplier, and then the Football Foundation will cover the rest and the goalpost will be delivered to you. So there's no claiming back of any money, that you just pay the deposit, the 25%, the Football Foundation contribute the rest, and the goalposts are delivered. It's a nice and simple and really good grant. As you can see there, there's lots of suppliers to choose from. So if you do need to upgrade your goalposts, or you do need 3v3 goalposts, I would say that there's pretty much for every single club. No reason why you shouldn't use the Football Foundation funding for this to save yourselves 75% of the total cost for these goalposts. If we move on to storage containers, again, 25% contribution, again, 2 like-for-like quotes. There aren't any approved suppliers for storage containers, but you may need planning approval or evidence that planning approval isn't required, which can be written from your local authority, just either confirmation. 9 times out of 10, planning probably will be required, but there may be the odd local authority that says, no, it's fine, depending on the location, but you would need to evidence that in writing as well. And then you'd need consent from the landlord if you're not the freeholder of the site. So if it was for a school site, for example, but the school are happy to host it, you just need evidence of that. Metal storage containers can be used to store portable goalposts, could be used to store some kit, balls, cones, bibs, all of that sort of stuff as well, is what they're designed for there. And with most funds, not the goalpost, but pretty much every other fund, you would need evidence of partnership funding. So generally a club bank statement to show you've got the required contribution, that 25% contribution that you can make towards the project there as well. And with the goalpost, what you also need is a marked up drawing or aerial photo just showing where the goalposts are going to go. So exactly on site where they're going to go, just so the Football Foundation are happy with that proposed location, that it's not going to take away a playing space, for example, or an opportunity for another football pitch to be put on site. Portable floodlights. So if you're not fortunate enough at the moment to have access to a 3G pitch facility for training, then portable floodlights could be a good option while the Football Foundation and ourselves are still trying to catch up with the demand for 3G pitches. So we'll come on to that a little bit later. But if you don't currently have access to a 3G pitch, then a good sort of temporary short to mid-term solution could be portable floodlights. Again, it's the normal 2 quotes and 25% contribution. And what the Football Foundation would want to evidence, this is the same with any machinery grant, is evidence that the lights or the machinery can be safely secured. So this could link in with a grant for a portable storage container as well. So you can store your portable lights in there. So you can apply for both as long as they don't combined exceed £25,000. So each season you get a total allowance of £25,000 for small grants. That season runs up to the end of June. So actually, if after this webinar you wanted to apply for something and you know the club has a good amount of partnership funding, you could actually utilise £25,000 in May or June, and then when you get to July you've got another £25,000, so you can then unlock that second a lot of £25,000 from July onwards. So actually in a short space of time, you could have £50,000 worth of funding with your club only having to contribute £12,500 to get £50,000 worth of equipment. Obviously that's likely for bigger clubs. Smaller clubs, the portable floodlights is a cheap, a relatively cheap expenditure. And you could just apply for them if you want. But if you're a larger club and want multiple grants, then a good way to do it is to apply at the end of one season and the start of the other, so you can get sort of double the amount of money there as well. With the portable floodlights, you'll just need to evidence why you want them. So what benefit is that going to bring the club, and also where they're going to be used, because what you're not allowed to do with portable floodlights is for them to be used on a current marked grass pitch, because that will increase the wear and tear of that. So you'd need a separate area for training for your portable floodlights that isn't on a current pitch used for match play as well. So that's just something to bear in mind if you're considering the portable floodlights grant. Changing pavilions. So again, it's the exact same basis, are 25% and 2 quotes. You will need planning approval almost certainly for any sort of modification to changing rooms, if that's sort of extensions, knocking walls down, etc. Again, 9 times out of 10 you'll probably need planning approval for that, if not evidence that you don't need that as well. With this one, you will need freehold or leasehold with at least 5 years remaining in the lease to access this grant. Alongside that, if you're not freeholder, letter of the consent from landlord is fine. So if it's a local authority, etc., and you're working, it's a combined application, then they can send in that letter as well and saying the club are happy to make this contribution, and we're happy for this work to take place on the changing rooms as well. And again, evidence of partnership funding and a condition survey by a professional would be needed as well. But again, this could be a good way to spruce up your changing rooms, have a little extension, knock down some interior walls to make some changing rooms bigger, things like that they can be used for as well. This could then also be used alongside the Lionesses Here to Play fund. So this fund, again, is a new fund this season, but again, it's £25,000 to like-for-like quotes. This was launched back in August of the start of the season, and the idea with this is to make changing rooms, open spaces, pavilions more welcoming, more accessible for women and girls. So this could be things like seating within your clubhouse, within your pavilion. It could be painting, it could be signage, it could be CCTV, it could be exterior lighting, it could be changes to toilets, to make them WCs instead of urinals, to make them accessible for all genders. So anything like that, this grant can be used for, but it will be changing room or pavilion improvements as well. And all the criteria there is the same in terms of condition report, consent, etc., freehold requirements. So that's all the same, but you could then combine the two and have a little bit more money towards your pavilion if you're using the changing rooms grant for certain aspects, and then the Lionesses Here to Play fund for potentially seating, etc., and some of those more exterior features within the building. Catering units, this one's slightly different. So because the catering units are more expensive, this is a £50,000 grant. Again, 25% contribution. So it is a larger contribution from clubs, obviously with that being £12,500. The idea with this though is that clubs will be able to generate revenue from a catering unit. So selling teas, coffees, bacon sandwiches on a Saturday morning. If you've got a large 8, 10, 12 pitch site, then this could be a way of generating sustainable income for the club that will not only pay back this outlay, but also generate money that can be reinvested back into the football club in future seasons as well. Again, all the same things in terms of planning approval, like for like quotes, letter of consent for the landlord if you're not the freeholder. With this one, what the Football Foundation would also like to see is income and expenditure forecasts. So actually to see how much do you think you'll be selling, how much profit do you think you'll make, just to make sure that this is going to be sustainable for the club and you're not actually going to be losing money with the large investment that this is. What ourselves or the Football Foundation don't want is for you to invest £12,500 and you're not making enough money to get that income back, plus start making profit to invest in your grass pitches or change rooms within 2 to 3 years. We'd like to see, you know, that sustainability and that profitability within the site there as well. With this, and we'll come on to pitch power very shortly, that will need to be done before applying as well, because what we would like to see is investment in grass pitches from some of the profit that is made, so grass pitches can be improved at your site as well. That links us on nicely to the Grass Pitch Maintenance Fund. So Grass Pitch Maintenance Fund is a tapered grant which can be used to purchase materials. That could be seed, that could be fertilizer, or it could be to appoint contractors to conduct work on your pitches. What you would have to do is have a pitch power report done for your site. Hopefully a majority of you on the call are familiar with pitch power and what a pitch power inspection is. If not, essentially that is testing your grass pitches to see their current quality. So what that would do is test root depth, it would test grass coverage, it would test sort of playability of the pitches in terms of grass height, in terms of surface evenness as well, and it would test the total soil depth as well, and all of that would give your pitch a score somewhere on a scale of poor all the way through to advanced. Depending on that scale depends on the funding that you get. So if the pitches are already rated as good or advanced, you can get £960 per pitch per 11-a-side pitch. That is, it's slightly less for 9-a-side and mini soccer, but you can get £960 for any pitches rated as good and advanced. If your pitches are rated as good or advanced, then there's no partnership funding required. That £960 you get without having to contribute a penny, and you'll get that for 6 years. So you'll get £960 continuously for 6 years per 11-a-side pitch without having to make any contribution. So it's well worth getting your pitches tested, and if they rate as good in advance, you can get essentially a free £960 per pitch to do a little bit more enhanced maintenance work that might go towards purchasing some more seed for overseeding, purchasing some more fertilizer if grass is struggling to grow, purchasing some herbicide if you're getting some sort of weed growth there as well. So that is really useful as well. There are guides, I'm sure this presentation Stacey will send round. So there's links there to how to access the Grass Pitch Maintenance Fund and how to apply on the Football Foundation website for any of those grants as well. So you can access that through the links on screen, but it's well worth getting your pitches tested. The Football Foundation actually have a target to have all 100% of pitches tested by the year 2028. For a county, we're currently on 56%, so a lot of work to do in the next 2 years. So if you haven't had your pitch tested, now is a great time to do it, to access that extra funding as well. And this is what it would look like if your pitches are rated as basic or poor. So it's £3,200 per year per 11v11 pitch for a pitch that's rated as basic or poor. But with that increased amount does come some applicant contribution. So as you see, there would be a club contribution from years 3 to years 6. So 33% in year 3 and 4 and 66% club contribution in year 5 and 6. What we recommend doing is saving some money at the start in year 1 and year 2 when there's no contributions to be able to pay for some of those club contribution costs in year 3 to 6. What you might also find yourselves doing is, if you run a summer tournament, putting a little bit of money aside for your grass pitch maintenance fund then, or actually, depending on the size of a club, increasing subs by somewhere in the region of sort of £2 to £4, and putting that money aside can add to that contribution as well. There's other sort of funding available as well from the FA. So InPost have just launched a scheme in the last couple of weeks for InPost lockers, the delivery lockers that you can get things delivered to or send parcels out via. And if your club is interested in hosting one, you can get £800 a year for hosting an InPost locker. And hopefully some of you will have seen an email from myself on that and potentially signed up. But if your club or location of your pitches are accessible, generally needs to be close to 24/7, then you could host an InPost locker, get £800 a year, and that can go towards your club contribution there as well. So that's sort of how it looks for one 11v11 pitch. Obviously, depending on the amount of pitches on site and the size of pitches, the club contributions would be slightly different. But this is sort of roughly how it would look for a one pitch site if you rate it poor or basic. Remembering, if you rate good, you get £960 a year and don't have to make any contribution. Alongside the maintenance fund, there is also a grass pitch machinery fund as well. So that is for £50,000 worth of machinery, and your machinery must be mentioned in the pitch power report. So much like anything, any work you do on the pitches from the grass pitch maintenance fund must be mentioned in the pitch power report. Any machinery that you want to purchase needs to be recommended in the pitch power report by our regional pitch advisor, who will have conducted the report based on the photos that you have submitted and uploaded on the pitch power portal. Again, it's 2 like-for-like quotes for each item of machinery, but what you could get there as a standard example would probably be a compact tractor plus a combination grooming tool, which essentially is a tool that does a little bit of aeration, some raking, some brushing and some rolling as an attachment on the back of a tractor, and potentially a mower as well. That would normally be covered well within the £50,000 grant. So you could get those as starting machinery to get going and do some maintenance work in-house, which again can reduce cost if it's a club-owned site and you're paying contractors to do so. If you are at a school site as well, so if schools do hire out to the grassroots clubs and grassroots community, then schools can also apply for both grass pitch maintenance fund and the grass pitch machinery grant. So it's well worth having a conversation with your contact at the school if you do hire pitches at a school site, as well as by having yourselves on board. Then they can actually improve their grass pitches as well by having you access the funding for the school there as well. If you're interested in anything grass pitches, if you do some grass pitch maintenance at your site, then Groundskeeper Corner Facebook group is a really good place to access tips and hints from the GMA, so from the Grounds Management Association professionals, as well as other like-minded individuals who are groundskeepers as well, and they may have some tips and tricks that are useful as well. So again, well worth looking at that link, or just searching Groundskeeping Corner into Facebook, and then you can request to join that group that's run by the Football Foundation. There's normally some really good posts and articles on there from the Football Foundation as well. Just before we then move on to large grants, does anyone have any questions in regards to small grants at all? Is there any in the chat, Stace?
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. Is that Graham? Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it's Graham
Yeah.
from Hughenden Valley. So, listening to the pitch improvement grant, we applied and October last year, and we keep getting rejected for some reason. We've submitted all the information, we've had the ground report back, and we've gone to the next stage, which is documentation and everything. That's all been submitted, and then 2 days ago I received an email saying that it's been withdrawn again. I just wondered why that would be.
Yeah, Graham, without knowing the exact circumstances to your grant, I don't know. What would probably be best is I'll share my email at the end. If you could forward over a copy of that, I can have a look at that for tomorrow to you, for you.
Okay.
Obviously, without knowing the exact reasons, I can't really sort of give any advice. But yeah, certainly I'll have a look through that for you. If you can ping that over. As I say, I'll share my email at the end. And yeah, feel free to send that over and I'll have a look for you.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
No worries.
I've got another question about whether the machinery grant covers robot line markers.
So yes, if you have a more than 10 pitch site and it's recommended in your pitch power report. So you need 10 or more pitches. Essentially, if you're on the border, 8, 9, we can have a conversation and I can push the idea towards the Football Foundation and the GMA to recommend it. But the general rule is 10 or more pitches.
Brilliant. I can't see any other questions, so
Perfect. We will move on to local football facility plans then. So what is a local football facility plan? So essentially it's a strategic document, and it's written in conjunction with the Football Foundation, ourselves at County FA, and the local authority. So there's a local football facility plan for every local authority, and that allows funding to be unlocked for certain areas. That's 3G pitches and changing rooms, ancillary facilities are the two main areas that are funded through this as well. The Football Foundation is what they call 3G led. So 85 to 90% of the funding they want to see being put into grassroots football is for 3G pitches, because there's a real shortage of 3G pitches. Each 3G pitch costs in the region of £800,000 to £850,000 to build. So they want a large majority of their funding to go towards a 3G pitch rather than a grass pitch. In terms of 3G pitches, the contribution is slightly different. There's no hard and fast rule for a 3G pitch in terms of applicant contribution and Football Foundation contribution. What we actually find is a lot of the contribution will come from what is called Section 106 funding. So generally that's funding that's made available when there's a new housing development in the area. So there's a certain amount of houses, a certain amount of funding will have to be provided for sport and leisure, and then within that a certain amount is ring fenced for football by the local authority, and that can be used towards 3G pitches. That's generally where a large majority of the funding for 3G pitches comes from, just due to the amount that costs. That generally it's not feasible for clubs to be able to stump up £100,000, £200,000 partnership funding. A lot comes from Section 106 and the local authority. Oliver, yeah, far away.
Hiya, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, can hear you.
Excellent. Is it the local plans? Do you have kind of a target in terms of getting the number of pitches in an area? So, for example, Aylesbury has loads of pitches, Maidenhead has loads of pitches, High Wycombe has Naffle. So I don't know. Are there targets? Because I can't see it happening from our local clubs. I know Graham lives in Hewingdon, and there's nothing around us. But there's no push from yourselves to get those pitches within the area. It's always come to us if you've got some grass that you want a 3D pitch on. Is there nothing like the other way around from you guys pushing to the local councils regarding that?
Yeah, no, certainly there is actually, Oliver. It's a great question, because I was just going to jump into actually sharing. I'll do that now, is to sharing what a local football facility plan looks like. So that's a great question. Can I ask what club you're from, if that's okay?
Yeah, Totteridge Football Club.
Totteridge, yeah, no worries. So let me just share my screen here, because what I'll do is I'll bring up the Buckinghamshire plan. So I don't know if you've seen one of these plans before, but these plans are publicly available. So if you were to search grass pitch maintenance fund, not grass pitch maintenance fund, so local football facility plan, you'll get a page. You can search your county. So I've searched Buckinghamshire and brought up here. The pages you're probably interested is page 4, which is your football turf pitches, and then page 6, which is your off-pitch ancillary facilities, changing rooms. But yeah, if you just search local football facility plan, you can find this as well. And what that does is detail the current 3Gs in the area, and details the gaps. So Buckinghamshire, because it's a very large county, this isn't the same for every county, split into north, east, south and west. And I think your area will probably be west, but I always get a bit confused. Yeah, that looks sort of like the west area is sort of the High Wycombe sort of area there. So there's certain pitches there that are sites to explore. In the west, for example, not all of them will happen at the exact place. For example, the Rye might say, no, we can't host. So we will look for other pitches elsewhere. Prince's Risborough, there could be opportunities at a school, or it could be at the football club, for example. So some sites have been identified because there's been more detailed discussions. Others are just areas. For example, we take this north area there. You can see there's ones for Winslow area and Long Crendon / Havenham area, because a site hasn't yet been identified. I would say what we are doing, Owen, and I appreciate this may not have been the case a few years ago, is we now are actively looking to find sites. We're probably at a point now where we're actively reaching out to sites and investigating where there can be 3G pitches, because there's a real shortfall, especially in Buckinghamshire, actually, out of all the local authorities of 3G pitches. So we are reaching out and looking at where we can have 3Gs based on the local football facility plan. So hopefully you will have access to one within the next, as I said, this is a sort of 5-year plan. So within the next 5 years, we'd be hopeful that you have access to a site there. Does that sort of answer your question? If you look through as well, you'll note that a majority of the big teams are mentioned within each site here. As you can see, this for North area, Aylesbury Vale Dynamos, and some of the other Aylesbury teams as well, along with Aston, Clinton, etc. So this will list all the teams. What I say is this is not an extensive list. This is the biggest teams in that area. That doesn't mean if your team is not listed on there, you won't get access to a pitch. But what we have to do is evidence the need for a pitch. Each 3G pitch can host roughly 38 teams for training throughout Monday to Friday midweek. So we need to have strategic reason when we go to the Football Foundation and say, we want £650,000 for this new 3G, and the local authority's got 150,000. The first question they will ask is, okay, is this going to be utilised by grassroots football clubs within the area? So this gives us that strategic way of going to the Football Foundation and asking for that money. Does that sort of answer your question?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. So have a look at there. So, yes, go on, Ro.
Sorry to jump in. Can we touch on that subject as well afterwards? Because that's something that we're looking into as well. We're in the process of getting quotes and stuff, like early stages of having a 3G at our facilities. That's something that we can tag into that email as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, please reach out. So say if anyone's got any questions about 3D pitches, etc., I'd say first thing to do is look at your local football facility plan for your area, because that should give you a good idea of where there is a need for pitches in the area. If you don't quite agree with it, obviously it was written 2 years ago now, so it's written in 2024, ready for release in 2025. So some of it could be outdated. So if you want to challenge something and don't believe that to be correct, then feel free to do so as well. But I would imagine if you don't have access to a pitch, that the stage we're sort of at the moment is most of your clubs, if you don't have access to a pitch, will be on the local football facility plan. So do just have a look at that. And again, the link is on the slides as well.
Okay, thank you.
So as we've discussed, I'll rattle through this, but as we've discussed, Football for Nation are very keen to invest in grassroots clubs. So mostly clubs that are rated as 2 or 3 star are likely to be in that local football facility plan, because the Football for Nation are unlikely to invest in a club that's not at all England accredited, and less so a club that is 1 star England accredited. They are more likely to invest in 2 or 3 star England accredited clubs. As you can see, 2 star needs a minimum of 9 male and 4 female teams. 3 star would also include disability. The reason for that is because the Football Foundation wants to ensure that there's a minimum of 20% women and girls football on all Football Foundation delivered 3D pitches. So if you're likely 2 star or 3 star, you've got more chance of hitting that target because you've got those minimum criteria of teams. And then alongside that, they want to hit some of those outcomes that are below as well. So if you're 3 star and you're including disability, then that will hit the disabilities or long-term health conditions outcome for the Football Foundation. And then you need to hit one of the other 2 as well, either low socioeconomic groups or culturally diverse communities, depending on the area you're in, depending on which is the one that we would help you write a business plan to target. There, culturally diverse communities could be ethnicity, but it could be things we've had like walking football as well, or your site could be a multi-sport site as well. So we have a site in Reading that has ultimate frisbee played on it. There's other sites in the country that have lacrosse played on it. They have rugby league or rugby union training as well. They may have American football training on as well. So you need to hit 2 of those 3 groups, which is why the Football Foundation will generally look to invest in 2 or 3 star clubs, and those 2 or 3 star clubs would what we would be calling the main partner clubs. So that doesn't mean they own the site unless it's on your club site, but say for example if it's a school site and you're the main partner club, it doesn't mean you own the site. What that does mean though is you will get priority access to that site, and you'd sign up to a 5-year service level agreement for a minimum of 30 weeks in the winter for use of the 3G. Depending on the size of the clubs, it may be that there's 2 or 3 main partner clubs on site. It's not a hard and fast rule. Depending on the area and depending on the size of the club, that is flexible, but generally it's going to be 2 or 3 star clubs. So I would recommend, if you're not already a 2 or 3 star club, do reach out to myself and Stacey, and we can work with you to give you the best possible chance of getting to a 2 or 3 star club when a 3G pitch is built in your area, to give you the best chance of getting on to that pitch. A general 3G project can take somewhere between 24 to 30 months. So you've got a little bit of time to work towards 2 or 3 star if you're not there already. As with everything in terms of surveys, planning, and then the actual build, it can take a little bit of time there as well. So just to finish, in terms of maximising current facilities and top tips. So if you are lucky enough to currently have access to a 3D pitch, are you splitting that into quarters currently? Any new pitch that's being built will be sold in quarter pitches, and we'd expect, especially for youth and mini soccer teams, to have a quarter of a pitch for training only. So if you have access and you've got, as a club, a block booking for one evening, could you actually get some more of your teams on that pitch by having 4 and splitting into quarters instead of having 3 and splitting into thirds or halves, as you do at the moment as well? So that could be a tip for 3G pitches if you currently got access to some. In terms of grass pitches, rotating your grass pitches can really help playability in the winter. We've obviously had a very wet January and February, so it may not have made much difference, but slightly early on in the season you might have been able to get a bit more play by rotating your pitches. So what we mean by that is, rather than where you always have your 11v11 pitch and where you always have your 5v5, actually can you rotate and move them around a little bit, especially if you've got portable goals, and it can be easily done, so you don't get wear in the same areas of your pitch, you know, your centre circle and your goal mouths. Actually, if you can rotate and move a 5v5 pitch to a part of that 11v11, and the 11v11 can move, or a 9v9 can move, you may find you get better playability and can play when maybe some other teams' grounds are not playable. So that could also be a consideration. For those pitches that are larger sites, again, a robotic marker, if that's in your pitch power report, can help with those rotation of pitches as well, and do that nice and quickly and simply for you. And then linking into that, 3v3 is obviously coming next season. So actually, rather than marking out a 3v3 pitch, we can just use cones, and we can use a spare area where we don't currently have markings. So that's easy to rotate. It causes less wear. It doesn't currently use a pitch that's in use. You can get more football played at your site. So we would highly recommend that if you're playing it on grass, to use cones. As if you're playing it on 3G, it'll be cones marked out anyway, because the 3v3 pitches aren't marked out. So you've been using cones on the 3G anyway. So if you're in grass, use some spare space that isn't currently marked out as a pitch to play your 3v3 under 7 football next season. That is everything facilities wise. Does anyone have any questions before I hand over to Lewis from Kitlocker, who I think I did see join the call, Stacey? Yeah, she's nodding, that's good. Nigel.
Yeah, it's about fixed floodlighting. I did some research earlier on in the season, which the Premier League Fund doesn't fund Step 7 clubs, which we are, and the Football Foundation don't fund fixed floodlights. What's your best advice?
Are you looking to go to Step 6?
Yes. So
if you've applied for Step 6 and that application is accepted, then you can apply for floodlights. But you need to be. Is this for as in next season?
Yeah, for next season. Yeah.
Yeah. Get in touch to me, and I can put you in touch with the right people at the Premier League Stadium Fund. But the answer is yes. If you've been accepted to Step 6, dependent obviously on your league position, then yes, you can apply. You would only get the funding following confirmation that you've got a place in Step 6 for next season.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions, guys? I can't see anything in the chats at this stage, but feel free to unmute yourselves if you've got any questions.
What I'll also do is I'll just put my email in the chat for those that did have sort of questions to be taken offline. I've put my email in the chat, so do get in touch. If you've got anything else. Other than that, Stacey, I'm back to you. I think you're going to hand straight to Lewis, right?
Yeah. So now we're going to move on to, we've got Ben and Lewis here from Kitlocker and they're going to give us a talk about a good new opportunity through Nike Partner Clubs. It was a great opportunity for our club, so I'll pass over to them.
Good evening, all. Great to meet you. Great to see you all, and appreciate the time this evening. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, Adam and Stacey. I won't take much of your time at all. Ultimately, we're here to present a new opportunity through Nike and the FA. If anybody's obviously dealt with Kitlocker previously, we do the FAS England accreditation reward scheme, I guess. But obviously, we do multiple different teamwear partnerships as well, and hopefully, there we go. Thank you very much. In terms of Kitlocker, just a quick one here. We're based in Sheffield. You might be able to tell with my accent, and we're a teamwear retailer with over 260,000 square foot and 150 members of staff with multiple brands, but obviously here today to talk about Nike. Now, many of you may know about the Nike Partner Club program. It's been around since 2013. And as of this season, Nike and the FA have come together to accelerate, enhance the offering for the clubs that are thriving community clubs. Are you all right to just skip through, please, Stacey? Appreciate there's some detail here, and also my email address and Lewis's is on our names during this presentation if you do want to reach out. And I can dive into more on Kitlocker or pick up a call on the back of this. But the Thriving Community Club Nike Partner Club benefits, again, if you're all right to just jump across, please, Stacey. As of this season, looks very different to being a Nike Partner Club. You see here, there's three pots, three offerings, so to speak, and they all come under the same for every club that's on this call. In terms of Nike Partner Club, it is a 3-year deal between yourselves, Kitlocker, and Nike. And the benefits have always stayed the same on the left-hand side column, where you've got £100 per team paid as 50% cash, 50% gift of kit. So let's use an example of a club with 40 teams. You'd get £4,000, £2,000 in cash, £2,000 gift of kit. Then every season you'll receive free footballs, invitation to Nike events and tickets. Now the Powerhouse project is worthwhile noting for you guys that aren't aware of that, and you do have female coaches at the club that are wanting to go through the coaching qualifications. The Powerhouse project is a fully funded UEFA C, UEFA B and UEFA A opportunity for coaches to go through, pay nothing. Obviously, it's funded by Nike and the FA, and it is available for those that aren't Nike partner clubs as well. So regardless to this presentation, that is is available for all of you. By all accounts, see online, apply. Those female coaches apply and work through. On to the second benefit as of the new one this year. Those clubs that have anywhere between the brackets there, 25 to 34 teams receive $2,500 gift of kit, 35 to 64 an additional 5, and then 65 teams $7,500 gift of kit. So that 40 team club that I mentioned earlier would receive a bursary of £8,000 split across gift of kit and cash. And then the third element of this is the Kitlocker deal, which is the same across all brands. And more specifically with Nike partner clubs, a set discount at 25%, and then you receive rebate on all orders. So there's a lot of moving parts here, and as you can see there, the lead times, we implemented a new system last year, albeit a tough period last peak season for football. It's now a thriving 10 to 14 day lead time on teamwear. And Nike have also just launched a kit builder. So if you've got a kit that's never fell into the Nike catalog, hoops or unique coloured stripes, that's now an option with the brand as well. Again, there's 3 pots to this that all form the Nike Partner Club and Thriving Community Club deal. Any questions on anything, as I say, reach out. Our information it's been put on the chat. Thank you very much, guys. But appreciate your time. As I say, quick and to the point with this, but we'll be sticking around if you do want to pick up a call later. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Ben. Has anyone got any questions? Like I said, this information I'll be sending around to everyone anyway, moving forwards. Oliver, got a question?
So we've previously used a competitor, if you want to say, Kit King. We moved away from them last season because during the peak season, it would take 8, 9, 10 weeks to do a printed kit. You've mentioned there 10 to 14 days. Is that still the same if we order in August?
I'm going to have to jump and let this one just jump to my daughter. Sorry, she's a 5-year-old that's actually
right.
Screaming, shouting me upstairs. Lewis, can you pick this one up, please? Sorry.
Yeah, of course. Evening all, I'm Lewis. Ben just led on that there. So to answer your question, Oliver, we do plan for it to be. We've implemented our new one-piece flow system, which will keep it at 10 to 14 days. We're currently working at 7 to 10. We in like the cricket peak period, we do obviously multi-sport as well. So this is a kind of a trial period, and we are staying at that 7 to 10 working days.
Right, that's brilliant. Thank you.
No problem.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time. And we'll be in touch. Everything be sent through.